Good afternoon, difference makers. Look at my clock there. I was like, can't even work out what time it is. That's what happens when you spend your morning with the kids and trying to get them down for their naps. So anyway, if you are tuning in, hello. If you're new to my world, I'm Kirby. I help coaches fill their calendar with awesome clients. And if you want to find out more about all that stuff, you can go to anthonykirby.com. But today, I want to finish up and round out what I've been talking about for the last couple of days, which is planning for 2020, and more specifically, what to do if you are stuck in a loop and you're struggling to kind of get your wheels and get your traction and move forward. There is a simple solution to it, you'll be glad to know. If you watched yesterday's episode, I talked about, and if you haven't, by the way, go and watch it, but I talked about planning, and I talked about a simple one-page plan that I call a growth triad, which is where we look at what your 90-day goals are. Hey, Amanda. And then we look at what you need to achieve in the next month, and then we break that down into like what has to happen this week. And coinciding with that, everything that needs to happen this week should then go into your schedule, into your calendar, into your diary, so that it gets done, or it has a better chance of getting done. And I suppose what I want to talk about now is what happens if you get to next Monday and it's still not done. Because that is quite a big thing, and it's been quite a big thing for me. It still is in some cases. I know we've all got things going on. We've got kids, we've got marriages, we've got relationships, we've got clients, we've got people that we need to see still. We've got friends, hopefully. And so life is busy, right? I don't know if you feel like I do, that life gets busier, and also feels like time goes faster the older I get, as we stare down the barrel of yet another year. And so what I want to talk to you about is how you can assess what is holding you up. All right. Now, of course, it'd be easy for me to say, go and get a coach. It'd be easy for me to go and say, go and buy a course. But you don't always need that. Sometimes you just need awareness. And what I want to do in this video is give you awareness on what I feel would probably be holding you up. So there's really three things, right? So let's say it's Monday or whatever day you do your review for the week, or Sunday night, and you're looking at your plan for the week and you go, right, I had all these things that I had to do this week and I haven't got all of them done. In my opinion, there are three things that will hold you up. The first one is time. All right, now that's obvious. Everyone knows that, time is the commodity, and it's the one thing we kind of have to allocate and work out what the hell we want to do with the 40 or 50 hours a week that we want to spend doing things outside of sleeping and eating and spending time with those we love. And there's a lot of competing interests in that mix. There's a lot of obligations that we have. There's a lot of things that we could be doing and should be doing, and as a result, some of the stuff that we need to do gets kind of pushed back down the list, or just forgotten about. So I hope with the last couple of videos I've shown you how not to forget about those things, but now it's about how do we get them done. So first things first, if it is time, like what can we do about that, right? You've only got the same amount of hours, and I heard this saying once. Someone said to me, Kirby, you don't manage time, you manage priorities. And I really like that because it's true. We've all got 24 hours. We've all got, X amount of time that we should be sleeping. We all need to fit our things in. And it's what we choose to prioritize that usually gets the attention. So if you're struggling with your time, because this is the first thing. This is the first thing that could derail you. It's the biggest thing that could derail you. The biggest thing I would say is keep a track for one day of where you're spending your time. And this is literally this simple. Get a piece of paper. When you get up in the morning, you start your day, you get into your kind of daily routine of work or business, that you write down what time you start. And then the first activity that you do, you write on the piece of paper that I checked my emails, or for most people, it's I checked Facebook or Instagram or whatever it is on social media. And then when you're finished with that, you look at the time on the piece of paper, you write down the time that you finished, and then you start a new line. And then you write down what your next thing is, like I got some water, I went to the bathroom, I ate my breakfast, like whatever it might be, right? Because the first part of any journey is getting awareness of where you're starting. And if you're struggling for time, if you're not managing to get all the stuff ticked off your to-do list on a daily or weekly basis, the number one thing that I could teach you and give you advice on would be go and see where it's going first. We can go and fix it. We can say, let's do block time and let's do all of these productivity tips. But if you don't know where your time's gone in the first place, you don't know where you're starting from. So you have to track your time. I would recommend do it for at least a day if that's what you're seeing. And you'll probably start to see one very interesting thing that occurs when you start to track your time. The thing that I find when I track my time is this. I get more productive because I'm measuring things. And because I'm being more attentive to how I'm spending my time, I do not allow the distractions to sit in, because on my piece of paper, I don't want the distractions written down. So then I don't look at social media as much as I would ordinarily look at it. I don't spend as much time goofing around. I get into the tasks that need to get done, and by some sort of magic, by me tracking my time, I get more done. It's a funny old world how that works. So give that a crack. If time is the problem for you and you're struggling just to get it all done every day or week, try time tracking. And that's literally as simple as piece of paper, pen, write down what it is that you are doing, minute by minute, 15-minute blocks, 30-minute blocks, whatever you choose. But be specific. Get exact about it, because if you let yourself off the hook with that and you shortcut that process, well, you're just hurting yourself, right? You're just hurting your productivity and your ability to achieve your goals and your outcomes for your plan, okay? So that's the first thing. The second thing is resources. So if coming back to the example that I used on the episode last night, I talked about on my 90-day plan, I've got my book on there. I want to write my new book called The Expert Blueprint. And I've already started that process, but on my 90-day plan, there needs to be a manuscript finished in the next 90 days. Now, if I get to the end of the week and I haven't achieved that, and I knew I had the time to do it because it was blocked into my calendar, the next question is, did I have the resources to do it? And if I didn't have a pen, and I didn't have paper, and I didn't have a computer, and I didn't have a stone to write on with a piece of chalk or something, well, yes, I don't have the resources. So I might have all the time in the world, and you can have all the best intentions, but if you don't have the resource to be able to complete your plan, well, then you're going to be stuck, right? So that's the second thing that I would always look at. And it's worthwhile, actually, when you're doing your own planning, if you're looking at your business and what your goals are, or how many clients you want to get, or your online course that you want to launch, you have to look at, do I have the resources to do this, like outside of time? Because if you don't have a camera, you can't record things. I mean, we're lucky now because we've got smartphones, right? If you don't have, a microphone, you might not be able to do a podcast. Like, that's just a standard sort of thought process. But it's worth considering because, oftentimes we beat ourselves up about the stuff that we think is time related, or that we think, we get all like, I'm not doing enough. I should be doing more. I should be grinding hard. I should be hustling more. You don't need to hustle more if you haven't got the resources, because it ain't going to make any difference. If you can't do the thing because you haven't got the tools, then it ain't going to make any difference. You can work 24 hours a day and it will not make a bit of difference to the achievement of your goals because you haven't got the resources. So that's the second thing I would always look at is the resources. The third thing, the final thing, not the final thing, but the final starting point to look at here is skill. And this is oftentimes where, for me, I kind of pride myself on the fact that I learn like super fast. I can read something or watch something or think about something and I can work it out pretty quickly. But for some people, it takes a lot longer. And so if you're struggling to achieve your to-do list, if you're struggling to get the things done on your plan that you want for your business, then perhaps it's the skill base. You might have the best resources. How many times, right? How many people do you know, or maybe even this is you, where you've spent thousands of dollars on courses or coaches or all of that stuff, and you still can't get it done, right? It's because the skill base is just not solid enough, or maybe you've kind of gone too low, gone too high with your skill base training sort of stuff. So what I'm trying to say here is, a lot of the times you can have the best camera, right? But if you don't know the skills to operate the camera, you won't be able to make good video. You could have the best microphone, but if you don't have the skills to speak eloquently, like I do, then you won't be able to produce the best quality audio and the best quality podcasts. It's like giving someone a Ferrari and they can't drive. It's a beautiful car. They've got the best resources in the world to be able to drive fast, but they don't know where the start button is, or they don't know how to turn the ignition on. I'm sure it probably doesn't have an ignition. Excuse my ignorance, Ferrari drivers out there. So that's basically the three things that I would look at. If you get to a Monday or a Sunday and you're looking at your plan and you're thinking, why has this not happened for me? Why am I not ahead? Look at those three things first. Am I getting the right things prioritized in my diary? Have I got the time allocated in my schedule to get this stuff done? If you have, then the next question is, have I got the resources? I've allocated the time. Do I have the resources to get this done? Do I have the computer? Do I have the technology? Do I have the software? Do I have the microphone? Do I have the camera? Do I have whatever it is? The final thing, and the most important, I think, is do I have the skills? And here's the deal. If you don't have the skills, the beauty of the world that we live in now is that we can get the skills like that. It is phenomenal. I mean, you compare this, right? I talk about this in my Expert Blueprint course in the very first video. I talk about the mindset shifts that I had to make to become a 7-figure coach, right? One of the big shifts that I had to make was realizing that it's not like the old days where you had the yellow pages. Remember those things? And you put your little advert in the yellow pages, and the only people who'd see that was the people in your local area. And it cracks me up even still now when I'm driving down the highway and you see all these businesses and their business name is like about concreting, but it's like about concreting because they want to get to the front of the yellow pages list. It's ridiculous. We don't even have that constraint anymore. We can now go online, we can type into Google, how do I do this? How do I run a webinar? Or how do I, like YouTube? I mean, I've been on YouTube, right? So I don't know if you guys know, but I have this goal that I'd like to fly planes. Some of you might have seen the video a couple of weeks ago where I went out for a flying lesson. And so I've been on YouTube and I'm like, how to start a Cessna. Like, you can literally YouTube this stuff. You can YouTube how to start an aircraft, for God's sake. So what excuse do we have when we're looking like, how do I eat healthy? Or how do I, how do I improve my relationship? Or how do I run a webinar? Or how do I build a landing page? There is so much information. If you followed me for any length of time, you would have heard me say millions of times, no one's going to pay you for information. Everyone will pay you for implementation. That's the world, right? Because information's everywhere. So if it's a skills thing that you're lacking, be certain in yourself that you can figure it out. Be certain that you can go and type it in or buy a program or watch someone else do it online on YouTube, like over their shoulder, pretty much like we're doing right now. You can learn all of the stuff that you need to learn. So skill should never really be the thing that's holding you back from achieving your outcomes. But it is a reality that if you haven't got the skill, building awareness of that and then going and doing something about it will get you a lot closer to where you need to go. All right. So that's the three things. Do you have the time? Do you have the resources? Do you have the skills? They are the three things that if you look at, they will get you unstuck faster than any other conversation you could have. And in fact, in coaching, that is always, when I'm doing sales coaching, for example, that is always the thing I come to. If someone says, yeah, Kirby, it's just not happening for me, I say, all right, well, how much time did you spend doing your follow-up calls? How much time did you spend speaking to customers this week? If that's fine, we spent plenty of time doing it, well, do you have everything you need? Have you got all the information that you need to give to your customers? Yes. Well, do you have the skills? Like, can you present well? Can you build value? Can you ask good questions? Can you close the deal? Can you handle an objection? That's a skills thing, right? So it's very easy to self-assess where you might need some improvement in your weekly operations to improve your business. And this applies to everything, by the way. Like, I don't just want you to think, this is a Kirby business sermon, because it's not. If your relationship sucks, like if Ramika and I are having a rough patch, I'd be like, right, am I spending enough time with her? Probably not, because I work my ass off. Right, so let's fix that first. Hey, Ramika, let's go out for lunch tomorrow. Let's just lock out the diary, put the kids in daycare. Let's go to lunch. Does that fix it? No. Do I have the resources? Well, it depends. Depends what resources we're talking about, if you know what I mean. I think I'm all right there. Do I have the skills? Like, can I communicate with her properly? Not always. I'm a male. She's a female. If anyone on this in this live stream is watching this and you know what I'm talking about there, like, stuff just doesn't communicate well sometimes. You speak one thing and then it gets taken another way and you're like, what? How did you even get to that? Like, that's not at all what I meant. But that's another thing. So then that's a skills thing. Do I need to improve my communication skills? And by the way, that's a real struggle. I mean, if you saw our marriage live stream a couple of weeks ago, we talked all about this stuff. That is real stuff, right? Same with your health. Are you allocating enough time to go to the gym? Yes or no? Very simple. For me right now, no, I'm not. And that's something I'm working on. Do I have the resources to go to the gym? Well, yeah, I've got a gym in my complex where I live. I've got a treadmill upstairs on my balcony. No excuses. Do I have the skill to go and do it? Yeah, I do. So what's my excuse? I don't have one anymore. See what happens there? That's called self-awareness, because now it's just about, is it a priority for me or not? It's nothing to do with have you got enough of anything, right? When you know you've got the time, when you know you've got the resources, when you know you've got the skill, guess what happens to your excuses? They're gone. And now what? Now you face your reality of what the hell is really going on for you. And this is where the good stuff comes up. And this is personal development. Now we're getting into the fun stuff. Because this is not anymore about all the things that we can blame on the external. I haven't got enough time. I need a new computer. I need to improve my skills. I need to buy another course from another high-paid guru. You don't need to. Sometimes you just need to get in the game. Sometimes you got to get out of your own way and give it a crack. And then if you fail at it, realize that's okay, because I've just learned something from going through that experience. And now we make progress. And now next Monday, when you look at your business plan, guess what happens? You go, this week I made some progress. It wasn't perfect, but it was progress. And that beats anything. That beats talking about your business plan. That beats talking about your excuses, because that is what gets you moving forward. And that, my friend, is what we need to do to make a big difference. I've been Anthony Kirby. I hope you've enjoyed this live stream. If you're jumping in on the replay, let me know where you're coming in from. And get out there and ask yourself the question, time, resource, skill. I'll see you tomorrow. See you guys.